I just look, the world feels like things are getting a little scary. And maybe I need to start thinking about what if?
Hello my friends, this is Vosto Vlad, and today I will present to you my review and slightly different interpretation of Far Cry 5. I believe this game directly inspires from the MKULTRA mind control program, and I will show you why in a second. In the Far Cry series, we are usually used to the idea of being placed in a random foreign location, inspired from real-life troubled regions, and then liberating from crazy terrorists step by step, with our amazing gun-wielding skills. So in a sense, we're bringing some of that democracy. In the new Far Cry, they got tired of that storyline, so guess what? They replaced those foreign lands with some domestic lands and some domestic terrorists. The action takes place in Hope County, a fictional county in the state of Montana, United States. The county has been slowly taken over by the Project of Eden's Gate Doomsday Cult. By buying most of the farmlands, the local radio station, and by paying off most of the staff of the local sheriff force. This scenario, I would say, mimics the real world in a way, where big corporations make sure that they buy everything and everyone, to ensure their monopoly on the field, buying the land, buying the media, and buying politicians to push forward laws that can validate a practice that was previously illegal. I would say this is the modern terrorism, where the conquering happens more smooth and not with guns blazing, but by using tactics which can bring their success with the full consent of the people. They are not forcing anyone. They buy everyone and they indoctrinate people into thinking that they represent the good. This is how the gangsters of today operate. I think the practice is referenced well in Far Cry 5, and you know what else is referenced well? The stereotypical solution to all the problems. Guns. If I could say what this game is in a few seconds, I would summarize it like this. To make the stereotype even stronger, the resistance doesn't hesitate to pull up the American flags and even pray to it. So, guns check, American flag check, what else do we need? Ah, good old rednecks. There was a whole scandal where SJWs complained that the mountain rednecks in Far Cry 5 are not racist and sexist enough. In Far Cry 5, both the resistance and the crazy cultists have a diversity of characters. People of all races and genders are well represented in this game. Well, except for the fictional genders. What I found out while playing is that actually the SJWs were wrong to complain, because the game is actually on their side. There is a character called Herc Drobman Sr., who at first glance you might be triggered to think that the game is promoting white nationalism and hate towards liberalism.
If them Obama-loving libtards find out I can't look after my own property, I can kiss this Senate run goodbye. Now, seeing as you're on my land, and I didn't kill you even though it's well within my rights as a red-blooded American gun owner, I say you owe me.
By further playing, you realize that the character is a parody of Trump supporters.
I'm gonna make Montana great again, if it's the last thing I do. Canadian illegals everywhere, spreading political correctness, makes me sick.
You even do a mission for him called Make Hope Great Again. Both Herc and his son are depicted as people with low intelligence. This can be seen not only through the way they speak with each other.
Daddy, check it out, dude. Nancy's back. I got her back. Your son. Look at me.
You're dumber than a box of shit. Junior, all you proved was that you can't look after shit.
But also through this note, the cult of Herc. To be a member of the cult of Herc, you have to fucking rock it all the time, slam back 7 brews in under 5 minutes, and be named Herc.
We're just gonna slam back brews and fucking rock it all the time, bro.
They also show the Hercs as having an irrational form of patriotism, especially when you see Herc worshipping the American flag. Well, at least it's not this version of the American flag. The people working on the flag versions, by the way, were Freemasons, and of course they wanted to put their symbolism to be also worshipped by the populace. Herc Jr. is also portrayed as one who doesn't have any knowledge regarding gender issues.
Hey man, I'm sorry. I don't want to go on assuming nobody's gender or nothing. I mean, I don't mean no disrespect. I just call all my homies dude or bro or man, you know, regardless of vegetalia or penile-ness.
The interactions between him and the woman companions can be quite hilarious as well.
Hey, for the record, I think deporting immigrants is wrong. Everyone can earn a place here in America.
I was fucking born here.
Uh-huh, yeah. Oh yeah, I believe you. Don't worry, I believe you. It's cool. I'm winking.
Fucking hell.
Damn, Jess, you're looking good today, girl. You got that, badass ninja shit going on, like you might kill me any second. I dig it.
I guess that's a compliment?
Damn right, lady girl. Got plenty more where that came from, too.
No.
Copy that.
So there you go, SJWs, the game is making a parody of right-wing, white, cisgendered, redneck Americans, so stop complaining, the game is on your side. It's made by Ubisoft. I mean, Ubisoft also made this loading screen for Assassin's Creed Origins. But yes, apart from that, Far Cry 5 is the game where you can play as two genders. Actually, I can't really tell if this is a female. The anti-attractive woman in video games and movies campaign must be paying off. But yes, the character creation is very limited as it revolves around one style, the Mountain American Dweller style. I guess they don't have furry outfits then, they only have clothes that you see in hiking advertisements, and with good reason. This game takes place in the forest. You will be a badass forest dweller. You will be a redneck hunter. You will fish. Wait, actually, you won't be able to fish because you will be disturbed by gunfights happening all around you. You will do all the activities that your father wanted you to do, but you refused because you were too busy playing video games. Aside from the hiking hunter military clothes, you can also get nice t-shirts referencing their logos from the other games, such as the Illuminati-inspired logo for Assassin's Creed Origins, or the Aleister Crowley seal for Watch Dogs. What I found hilarious is how you can buy guns and ammo from random NPCs that just sail around creeks. Does this guy look like he can hold that many gun types with him? He only has a backpack. Speaking about the guns, there is a good variety for the guns in this game, but I feel they lack a bit in the customization department. They have skins, but I'm old-fashioned. I don't really care about skins. The guns in this game feel great. The movement feels great. It's what you'd expect from a Far Cry game. Nothing feels clunky. It all ties together well, but while playing I do get a feeling that they are reshuffling their old assets all the time. For example, the climbing mechanic. It's the same from Far Cry 3, and that was made in 2012. Fantastic game, by the way. We will never forget Voss, the most believable villain in a game ever.
But the definition of insanity is... Insanity is doing the exact same fucking thing over and over again, expecting shit to change. That is crazy.
It's not really that bad that they reuse assets, especially if they make the situations in which we use them better. For example, this fantastic climbing puzzle that I found on one of the mountains. It's a 6-minute platformer in which you master the climbing and grappling abilities while you look at some fantastic views with some amazing graphics and get to meet some interesting characters along the way. But yes, I would like to see more weapon mods. The way it's now, it feels like you get all the options thrown at you from the beginning of the game, and those are not many options. 2 suppressors, a few sights, meh. However, the gun progression is well paced, and the personalized weapons that you get from defeating bosses have a unique feel to them. All the weapons are fun to play. I really like the bow. When you get headshots with it, it feels fantastic. I like the flamethrower, the good old AR. Oh, and the classic heat-seeking rocket launcher. The sound design on the weapons in Far Cry 5 is a bit unrealistic, but hey, not every game can be Battlefield. But who even wants to play Battlefield anymore? Check out my video on why myself and many others don't really like the latest Battlefield. Going back to Far Cry 5, the variety in vehicles is really amazing. From ATVs to casual cars to race cars to off-road to big trucks with miniguns mounted on them. I tell you, this is the ultimate American symbol right here. And this is just on land. There's also boats and planes.
Did you just take a piece out of John's giant fucking sign?
For all vehicles, there are these very strange but funny Clutch Nixon stunt competitions, which are quite challenging, and they feature quite a badass soundtrack too. I think this is done in reference to the vintage stunt culture of the United States. I personally think it's a cool touch. I can't tell if it's a parody. Who am I kidding? Of course it's a parody, but it's still awesome nonetheless. However, when you finish one of these stunt missions, your car disappears. At least that's my experience. We could call this an X-Files type event. I've had a few of these actually, so I parked my truck here to take over this base. No one sees my truck, by the way. How can you not see this truck? After I take over the base, I go back outside and somehow mysteriously the truck was in a completely different place and sitting sideways. Maybe it's resting. Yes, the game has many glitches, but whenever I see a glitch, it kind of makes me happy. It reminds me that life is not perfect. It reminds me that games are made by humans, hired by companies with hundreds of millions of dollars. Wait, what? Fix these damn glitches, Ubisoft! Also, what's up with these helicopters? You can just go through trees with your helicopter and experience no problems. You can get drunk and start a deforestation operation with your helicopter. You can chill in a cave with your blades at max power and nothing happens. What kind of gaming do we have in 2018? Piloting skills in 2018? Hey, nobody got time for that. But we do have time to listen to an old interesting selection of tunes on the Resistance radio. The Resistance seem to have a good appreciation for quality vintage audio equipment and amazing classic tracks, from Creedence Clearwater Revival to The Clash to Clutch to Heart Barracuda. Track which we can also remember being featured on GTA San Andreas. You even get side missions to search for vinyls, so you can hear additional tracks on the radio. I didn't really do this though. I also didn't do the collecting baseball cards side quest. I'm not a completionist. These are just boring fetch the stick quests. However, helping Bo to find rare materials can be interesting. That's how I found that amazing climbing and grappling mission, and when I found myself at the top, I saw it as a great occasion to use the wingsuit. I think little moments like these count within a game, when you are just having fun without the game telling you what to do. The game does allow you to make decisions. It's entirely up to you how you will piss off the bosses from the 3 regions. You can destroy their property, take over their bases, free slaves, etc. Once you aggravate the boss enough, you'll be forcefully apprehended without the game giving you the chance to avoid it at all. So I guess that's where the choices die. It doesn't matter where you are or how many allies you have around you. You can even be in the middle of a side quest. In my case, I was in a quest talking to Herc, and then the screen just blacks out while I can still see Herc talking and not reacting to these invaders. Things like this are very immersion breaking for me, but I mean, it's still fun to escape from the facilities you wake up in. It's good to have that feeling of having nothing. Just you and your knife slowly progressing and making your way to the escape, as you get access to only the guns that you can loot from what is available on your enemies inside those facilities. So how about the story? Well, the story makes no sense. Joseph Seed leads a cult of which ideology is somewhere between extremist Christianity and psychoactive drugs worship. The cult uses these psychoactive drugs to create some sort of collective consciousness world where they all can communicate and get brainwashed into Joseph Seed's cult. Through this method, the cult takes control of Hope County's regions, which are split in 3. Joseph Seed doesn't control these regions by himself, but with the help of his brothers Jacob, John, and his adoptive sister Faith. You arrive in Hope County in your mission with your police colleagues to apprehend Joseph Seed. Something goes very wrong in the process, and the whole cult is trying to hunt you down as they have already captured or killed the important members of your team. Later on, they brainwash your colleagues to join their cult, And so you are left with the responsibility to slowly capture the regions back, defeat each boss one by one while restoring freedom and democracy to the lands, and finally face Joseph Seed to put the cult out of its misery forever. How does it all work out? Well, not so good. But we will return to that aspect later. And here we reach the point that I really find interesting and worth to talk about. I think the game inspires directly from CIA's Project MKUltra, also called the CIA Mind Control Program. Okay, so bear with me so I can describe you this MKUltra blah. MKUltra is the codename given to a program of experiments on human subjects that were designed and undertaken by the United States Central Intelligence Agency, and which were, at times, illegal. Experiments on humans were intended to identify and develop drugs and procedures to be used in interrogations in order to weaken the individual and force confessions through mind control. MKUltra used numerous methods to manipulate people's mental states and alter brain functions, including the surreptitious administration of drugs, especially LSD, and other chemicals, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, isolation, verbal and sexual abuse, and other forms of torture. This project is very real, my friends. It's not just some speculations on the internet. Sadly and suspiciously, I would say, most MKUltra records were destroyed in 1973 by order of CIA Director Richard Helms. So it has been difficult for investigators to gain a complete understanding of more than 150 funded research sub-projects sponsored by MKUltra and related CIA programs. In 1977, a Freedom of Information Act request uncovered a cache of 20,000 documents relating to Project MKUltra, which led to Senate hearings later that year. Some surviving information regarding MKUltra was declassified in July 2001. This is not from fantasy conspiracy land, it actually happened, and if this is the official information about the project, imagine what was on those burned documents. Who knows what kind of death these experiments had? Could it be more than just a project to create a truth drug that would get your enemy to talk? Could it be closer to the order of getting an entire population under control by the use of carefully added drugs into your water to make you easily vulnerable to suggestions which could be inserted through the back end of media content? Can our minds just be altered by some kind of electromagnetic frequency at the same time? I'm not saying this is happening, but in Far Cry 5, the cult controls everything. It controls the lands, it has its own media, with songs of worship, it controls the police, it controls everything. And I find this last ingredient very fascinating, the act of spreading drugs through the water supply, in a very organized operation so that people can be easier to manipulate. The drug is called the Bliss, and we don't really know what it really is, unless some nerd really digs deep into the game lore and finds exactly what it is. But what we can say is that it relieves people of their problems and transports them into a completely different world where they can find peace and worship Joseph Seed and his ideology. The Bliss puts you in bliss. However, it removes your free will completely, as is being shown when people under suggestion of the Bliss controllers end up committing murder in their name or killing themselves without even thinking about it and just having no control over their bodies, even if they want to stop, like in the case with the sheriff. This relates very well with the MKUltra conspiracy theories of how some strange murders happened and mass shootings. People that were saying that they heard and followed voices or that didn't even remember the act of doing it. If we look at MKUltra, there is Operation Spellbinder, which was set up to create sleeper assassins, i.e. Manchurian candidates, who could be activated upon receiving a keyword or phrase while in a post-hypnotic trance. Could they be part of such conspiracies, or were they just untreated people with psychological illnesses? Unfortunately, there is not enough proof to make conclusions. In the game, when you are inside Jacob Seed's region, he actually puts you through his super soldier training program.
We let the weak dictate to the powerful, and then we are shocked to find ourselves adrift. Collapse is upon us. And this time, the lives of the few outweigh the lives of the many. And when a nation that's never known hunger or desperation descends into madness, we'll be ready. We will cull the herd. We will do what needs to be done.
Putting you through his time-controlled track, where your objective is to kill everyone. As you are in this trance of killing, you are unaware of his surprise at the end of the training. After doing the course more than once, you get used to it, and think that it will always be the same, but at the end of the last course, you accidentally kill your friend. It just happens so fast that you don't even notice. It happened to me also, so this game does a good job of showing you how mind control works and how you can be affected by it even if you are a morally good person and think you are unbreakable. It shows you how mind control works by actually mind controlling you.
Only you could make this world seem right. Only you could make the darkness bright. Only you.
What a story, Mark.
Yeah, you can say that again.
There is another interesting scene that really combines the brainwash aspect with the occult symbolism aspect. The scene takes place in the Bliss on top of the checkerboard floor, which can be considered a Masonic symbol. In this context, the Marshal gets brainwashed to kill through the handler's whisper. The butterflies also make their appearance, which I think relate to the trauma-based mind control MKULTRA sub-project called Monarch, the Monarch butterfly. I have to add that Project Monarch has not been officially identified by any government documentation as one of the corresponding sub-projects, but is used rather as a descriptive catchphrase by survivors, therapists, and possible insiders. Seeing how all victims of the Bliss have butterflies on them and walk around like controlled zombies makes me consider the possibility of this scenario being a reference to Monarch. Okay, so we got chemicals in the water, we got MKUltra mind control. What else we got? The cult appears to use a certain symbol as their logo. When we analyze this game, I think we have to take in consideration what other games the creator company creates and what symbols do they use in those. What comes to my mind is the stylized square and compass from the Assassin's Creed, of course in Assassin's Creed Origins being completed with the all-seeing eye symbolism. Next we have the Templar symbol from the same game, and also the watchdog symbol, which kind of looks like an interpretation of Aleister Crowley's Seal of Saturn. The double X. I've also seen the double X in the Evil Within 2.
This symbol looks familiar. Like I've seen it in the real world.
It's funny how the writer of the script is playing with us. But that's a different game and a different company. So what does Joseph Seed like to use in his cult? Well, to me it looks like a combination between the Templar cross and the Knights of Malta cross. But I'm more leaning to the Templars. Many believe the Templars did not get shut down when Pope Clement V and King Philip IV of France ordered their disbanding. Many believe they retreated in Scotland and merged with the Masons, where they conspire together to take over the world. Another place rumored to house their presence is Switzerland, which is the world center when it comes to banking, and so maybe it's no coincidence because the Templars kind of invented banking and the Pope didn't like that they were becoming a powerhouse throughout Europe and not faithful to them anymore. Another interesting coincidence is how both the Pope and the King of France died in the same year through very mysterious circumstances. Eyewitnesses wrote that the Grand Master of the Templars cursed them while he was being burned alive by them on a scaffold in front of Notre Dame from Paris, warning the Pope that within a year and a day he and Philip IV would be obliged to answer for the crimes in God's presence.
Pope Clement, hear me? Before this year is out, you will answer for your crimes before God Almighty! And you, King Philip, no punishment is too heinous for the great evil you have inflicted upon the temple. I curse you! Curse you to the 13th generation of your blood! You shall be cursed!
The American historian Henry Charles Lee wrote, even in distant Germany, Philip's death was spoken of as a retribution for his destruction of the Templars, and Clement was described as shedding tears of remorse on his deathbed for 3 great crimes: the poisoning of Henry VII, Holy Roman Emperor, and the ruin of the Templars and Beguines. So, is Joseph Seed and his cult a representation of how the Templars are taking over again? I don't know, maybe I'm taking it a bit too far. There are those who say the Holy Roman Empire still rules the world from the shadows. There are those who say that the Templars do. There are those who say that the Zionist Jews. There are many theories, and you can sink into many rabbit holes. Maybe none are true, or maybe they're all true at the same time. Maybe they're all factions similar to a video game landscape, and they're all fighting to get a piece of the cake. And even if none of it is true, they are still great metaphors of how people with a lot of power can come together and conspire to get even more power by profiting on the weak, naive, and gullible people. I don't think that is an unrealistic premise. So what does Joseph Seed present us? What is his message? Saying yes? Well, how about also, in the end, you will thank us. Prepare for the collapse. Nice Templar symbolism. We are coming for you. Together we will march to Eden's gate. Sacrifice the weak. The weak have their purpose. You belong here. Interesting how the bag on the guy's head has the red cross, the red Templar cross on it. Sacrifice the weak, you are meat. Very nice sacrifice pose here. Yeah, we love you. And this is quite a complex ritualistic decoration, with a Templar symbol up top and a Baphomet type face, and this is kind of what the Templars were accused of worshipping, the Baphomet. Of course, the Baphomet has many meanings, but I don't want to get into it right now. So these are the Templar messages, I think, being sent to us, and in a way it reflects the same type of mentality that Albert Pike, the 33rd degree Mason, also wrote in his book Morals and Dogma. The whole we are superior and you are the weak meatbags that need to be controlled by someone very qualified, such as myself. I'm Albert Pike, and you are meat. So when I read this, it's like I'm reading the words straight from the mouths of the psychopaths who I think rule the world, and the people being sacrificed are us. Not allowed to think, not allowed to feel, just being trapped in the bliss, watching the different control heads of media, watching junk movies, eating junk food, and playing their video games. This is our Soma, like in the Brave New World. But hey, it's all good with defeat the bad guys, or do we? I've had such big frustrations with how linear one section of the game was because I was getting headshots from miles away into Jacob Seed's face, and he was just going down and then rebooting, kind of like a Terminator. So the game actually forced me to respect the trail of the level design and be able to kill him only when it's scripted for me to do so. But it pisses me off a bit. I have found a way to kill him correctly by using their own game mechanics and level design, but no, you can't do that. You think this is Fallout New Vegas? You think decisions and diverse course of action is promoted here? Just follow the trail, you lab rat. So about defeating the bad guys, well, you actually don't. And here comes the spoiler, guys. Leave now while you still can. I'll give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, very good. So all the endings that you have available are bad. First ending is actually in the beginning of the game, where you can just refuse to arrest Joseph and just leave it for another day to come with the army or something.
We're leaving, Rook.
I mean, let's face it, you are just a handful of cops surrounded by thousands of people with guns, rocket launchers, and everything else. So yes, just arresting the guy in the middle of them might not be the best course of action, which makes me think this could be the good ending, but this is is actually the secret ending, I should add. It's not really that obvious, as you trigger it by not acting, not saying anything. But then, where's the gameplay? Best solution, my friends, best solution of the game is to not play the game at all. They might be right, actually. The second ending is what most people would choose, and that is to confront Joseph Seed, but somehow in the middle of his arrest, it looks like his prophecy is fulfilling, and a nuke goes off in the distance, basically destroying all that you have created, and you become Joseph's victim in an underground shelter. Third ending is you decide to leave his what is now small cult and maybe come later to finish it off. This is similar to the secret ending, but this time it happens at the end of the game. However, it doesn't turn out so well, because somehow, when you are on the road with the sheriff, the screen gets red, signaling that you are triggered into the super soldier that Jacob created, and so you will probably kill your friends. Great endings, powered by New World Order MKULTRA Productions. So it turns out the nuke came off not because of some supernatural event, but because there is actually a war going on in the world, as we find out on the radio station.
The Department of Homeland Security has issued an intermediate alert today. Affected regions include New York, Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., and San Francisco. Montana isn't expected to be affected, but it's always possible. Keep alert, people. Stock up on food and water, just in case. Peace talks in the Middle East have broken down again, with the latest in a series of bombings, killing 2 and injuring 11. Among the injured are several U.S. reporters who were on hand for the talks. No word yet from the White House on these terrible losses. Russia has been attacked. Bombs hit Moscow this morning. No final word on casualties, but experts are saying the numbers are in the millions. If there was any hope for peace, it's gone.
It looks like Joseph and his cult knew about it, since their main bases are huge underground facilities, and saying things like, "In the end you will thank us," or "Collapse is coming." So that's the game, a mix of classic good gameplay but coated with some subtle politics as well as inspiration from the occult and government mind-controlled projects. I don't know what this all means. I'm actually a bit confused, and probably you are too. Am I doing a game review? Am I doing a conspiracy video? And to be fair, I don't even know myself. I lean more towards it's probably a bit of both. I lean more towards a reality where these big gaming companies know what's up and they're probably part of the conspiracy. So this is the type of review that I'm making. I review the game, but also I ask questions about where do these ideas in the video games come from. So if you like this crazy mishmash, stick along with me, go ahead and subscribe, give a like if you like, dislike if you dislike. Looking forward to see your thoughts in the comments, and I will see you guys on the next alternative review.